us to read with you here what President at Vietnam Gas and Energy said about Africa by visiting Kenya. He said, why Africa awaits while Asia builds a hard look at Kenya. He had visited Kenya the other day. I met with Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and President William Ruto in Nairobi. They spoke with energy about Kenya's future and investment. Tumeweka mikakati, tumepanga hawa vijana. About investment, infrastructure, public housing. But behind the polished language was a painful truth. There is no serious execution culture. Behind hiyo uongo yote na tumeweka mikakati, tumepanga, kumbe hiyo yote ni ukora. Kenya's real problem is not lack of money. At shida ya Kenya si kukosa pesa or talent ama watu wa kufanya kazi. It's the absence of long-term vision and the dominance of short-term gain. Tulikuwa na vision 2030. Ni kukosa vision. Mtu anakuja tu tumeka kati, tumeka mipango, anaanza housing, sijui anaanza SHA, anaanza nini. Ndio tu wakule. Dominance of the short-term gain. Leaders talk big. Watu wanaongea kwa meza how they will do things. But system don't move. They wait for outsiders to bring business rather than build an environment for it. Wanangoja tu investors wakuje wakule makat 10%. But they cannot build an environment for business here in Kenya. That's why business in Kenya are running away to the other countries. The biggest indicator, electricity. Vietnam, 100 million people. Over 70, I think he wants to say, gigawatt of power. Kenya, 50 million people. Only 4 gigawatt of power. 4. We have geothermal. We have hydro. We have solar. We have wind. We have everything to supply the rest of Africa with power. But we can't. This is not a side issue. It is the foundation of economic development. No investor will build a factory where the lights flicker every day. Hii Kenya saa hii mvua ipige mabati tu mara moja. Pap, stima. Zimeenda. Vietnam knew this. It built power generation before free trade zones and now it's a global export hub. In Kenya, basic energy supply is unstable and yet the government built fancy expressway and we cannot even build for power something that we already have. Akina geothermal, akina hydro, akina wind, akina solar. We can supply in fact the rest of Africa with power. But we are ready to go for an expressway from Nairobi to Mombasa without an export industry to support it. Meanwhile, millions live in slums, huts with no accessible to utilities. Why do you think we are going for expressway? Because of the cut. Cut 10%. Utakula, nani atakula? Tourism is another missed opportunity. The other day I put a video for you here. I told you Kenya is a paradise. Shida, we cannot even tap such opportunities. Safari bookings require 90-minute check at park gate. Enda hapa Nairobi National Park, my friend. Ukuta ni gari 3. But utakaa hapo for 2 hours waiting uangaliliwe. Kwa sababu watu wanangoja ka mistake uko nayo. Ka mistake kidogo hapo hivyo ndio uachote. Even with the observations. After 9 p.m. everything closes. After 9 p.m. even in Nairobi, kila mtu kwao. There is nothing for visitors to experience or spend on beyond Masai Market that is essentially a souvenir stand. President Ruto wants to build public housing. Hii tunapiga kelele about hapa mnaona kama ni joke. But investors are scared off by petty corruption. Because niliwaambia housing is pure corruption. If nasikia affordable houses, it's pure corruption. Even in Kenya you cannot tell who is doing that job. Unasikia tu nyumba zinajengwa. That is now outsider telling you. And legal instability. There are no credible incentives, no serious risk guarantees. In short, no real initiative to make it happen. Compare this to Vietnam or Singapore. Leaders are up to 5 a.m. working on execution, not speeches. Kenya President ako juu ya gari. Kwanza Kenya rasi speeches ni campaign. Power supply is constant in those countries. Policies are constant and are driven. Incentive aligned with performance. Africa does not lack potential. It lacks a mindset shift. Leadership must stop performing for the next. Build system that attract local and global investment. reward builders, and guarantee follow through. The global window is closing. Asia is not waiting. If Kenya and much of Africa want a real economic future, they must turn off the microphone and turn on the power. Can Ruto turn off the microphone? Can he stop the campaign? So acha atoke hiyo China na 130 billion yenye ameenda kuchukua. Zote zitaishia kwa campaign. Zote. That is why I'm telling you, we must change all this narrative 2027. Most of these readers unasikia wakisema tutafuata njia as young people tufagie wote waende nyumbani. Wote. It doesn't matter they are our kingpins or something.